Welcome to this month's episode of the Harvest Bridge podcast. A part of our work here at Harvest Bridge is connecting local leaders in South Asia with people like you here in the United States. Through our podcast, we want to provide a place where you can hear directly from ministry leaders throughout the region. This fall, Nepal has been gripped by a wave of political unrest, unlike anything the country has seen in recent years. In today's episode, you'll hear from the country leaders of Harvest Bridge's ministry in Nepal and on the Nepal-Tibet border. They share their firsthand experiences of what life has been like during this tumultuous time. These are their personal reflections, not official reports, and they themselves acknowledge that they may not represent the full picture. This is part of the complexity of this moment. There's so much misinformation and uncertainty surrounding the government overthrow that it is difficult to know full causes and outcomes of the recent protests. Their stories offer a powerful glimpse into life on the ground during this crisis. Before we hear from Jandi and Shalva, let's cover some context to understand the gravity of the situation. On September 8th, Nepal's political climate reached a boiling point when state forces opened fire on protesters, killing 21 people, 14 of whom were aged 28 or younger. The very next day, chaos erupted across the country. Protesters, along with those whom many people believe to be bad actors, stormed and set fire to the Prime Minister's office, Parliament, and the Supreme Court. Political leaders were injured, and party offices were vandalized. During what is being referred to as the Gen Z protest, over the course of a week of unrest, over 70 lives of protesters were lost, and thousands were injured. The nationwide turmoil also led to thousands of prisoners escaping jails across Nepal. To regain control, the Nepali army imposed a curfew. Eventually, negotiations between the Nepali military and the Gen Z leaders led to the appointment of an interim prime minister, Sushila Karki, Nepal's first female prime minister. Elections have been scheduled for early next year. The protest, unprecedented in their momentum, reflected a deep and growing frustration, especially among young Nepalis, with decades of systemic corruption and poor governance. Nepal currently ranks 107th out of 180 countries in Transparency International's Global Corruption Barometer. All three of the country's most recent prime ministers have faced serious allegations of misusing public funds. In the weekend leading up to September 8th, public anger escalated after the government banned 26 social media apps this September. The move, allegedly to curb misinformation, was widely seen as a blatant attempt to silence dissent. With over 56% of the population under 30, the ban struck a particularly harsh blow to young Nepalis, not only limiting their freedom of expression, but also cutting off a potential source of income for many content creators. The ban also impacted those Nepalis living outside of the country, causing concerns that they would not be able to stay in regular touch with their friends and family. Nepal's youth face staggering unemployment. Each day, more than 2,000 citizens leave the country seeking work abroad. For many, social media offered rare opportunities for expression, connection, and economic survival, making the ban a significant blow. Now let's hear from Jandi and Shalva, Harvest Bridge's country leaders, about how this upheaval has impacted their ministries and communities. Again, these are their personal stories and perspectives, and these clips are from September 16th, when everything was still unfolding.
Yeah, situation here is so bad. Everything is burned in Kathmandu. Parliament, Siya Darbar, the pride of the country, has gone to the ashes. So the police, stations.
Most of the police stations throughout the country.
Throughout the country, not one, two. People are deadly against the police and the army. So situation is still very bad, and we can't guess anything. Very, very bad.
Shalva paints a grim picture of the chaos in Nepal. He describes a nation in turmoil, with government buildings reduced to ashes, police stations destroyed, and widespread anger directed at both police and military forces. The unrest has left the country reeling, with no clear sense of what might come. Nepal has had protests before, but none quite like this one.
This kind of protest we have seen first time in our life. It was never happened like this. I saw, 90s protest. I saw 2006, 7th protest. I see, protest while the government released the constitution in 2015. I saw that protest. It was not like this. It is totally different. And here somebody claims that I am the Gen Z leader. Actually, there were no leader. They are divided into 28 groups. There is no leader. But somebody is coming here, I am the leader, I will kill the politician. Publicly they are, telling. Very lawlessness situation. Okay, this politician corrupted the country. Okay, through the law, punish them. There is a law to punish them. You can change the, judges in the these courts. But there is a way to punish them. But they are publicly saying they will kill them. If they come out, I will kill them. But nobody is stopping them. Very lawlessness.
Shalva has personally witnessed several protests in years past, but this one is different. He agrees that the politicians are corrupt and should be held accountable, but questions the approach of threatening public leaders. In this heated situation, what will come next for Nepal's leadership? What do Shalva and Jandi think about the new prime minister?
Yeah, she has, brought by somebody's interest. Actually that was not supposed to, happen. Actually, interim PM should be other person, the real Gen Zs who did the, this revolution against the government, and they have not taken any part in the government formation. So the people are coming by the other, civic society's interest. This, political parties are there, trying to take the revenge. It's a very difficult time, and let's see. We are praying, but we were very fearful. We were, because if they attack the churches, but they did not touch the church.
Shalva explains that the appointment of the new prime minister has deepened public frustration. Although many support her appointment, they disagree with how she was appointed. The protest leaders chose her via an online poll on a communication app called Discord, which, although efficient, is of course unconstitutional. Many also believe that the opposing political parties to the ousted prime minister may have pushed for her election. They believe she may have been chosen for political reasons rather than genuine representation of the people. Even as the streets have grown quieter, their fear lingers. Shalva and Jandi are taking extra precautions, avoiding social media, and urging other Christians across Nepal to do the same. They know how quickly tensions could reignite. If even a single temple were attacked, they say, it could unleash a wave of violence against churches in retaliation. For now, they are praying and mourning the young lives lost and hoping peace will hold.
Then if they break even single temple, all the churches in the country will go away. Very, very tough situation, and still very, very sensitive. Still very sensitive, and we are not posting anything the Facebook, and we should not write. And we are requesting all the Christian communities throughout the country, do not write anything. Do not write, broadcast any live service or any message or anything. This is a very critical time. We should play a constructive role to build up the society as long as we can do. Otherwise, we should not, this time, we should not expose ourselves, very openly, but we are praying, and we are praying for the families who lost their children. The death roll has crossed 75, and it will increase a little more, and people are expecting that the 100 more, it will cross more than 100.
The protests have taken a devastating toll. As they've reflected on the violence, Shalva and Jandi, along with many others in the country, are questioning who is truly behind it. They find it hard to believe the Nepal police, typically trained to wound, not to kill, would have carried out such precise and deadly shootings. Rumors are circulating that outside forces, possibly from across the Indian border, were involved. Some believe these sharpshooters were brought in by pro-monarchy groups, hoping to restore Nepal as a Hindu kingdom. Whether or not that's true, one thing is certain. The violence has left the nation shaken, and uncertainty still hangs heavily in the air.
How these sharpshooters came? Nepal police, they did not hit, a fire to anyone. Nepal police, they were trained only to shoot on the foot, not in the head. But there are sharpshooters, hundreds of sharpshooters, and people are guessing that they entered from India. So these, those who are after the king, those group, those who are rebellion, making rebellion against the king, for the king, they want to bring the king as a Hindu kingdom. So those people have brought the Hindu sharpshooters from India, hundreds of.
We heard like trucks of people came from India, and because our border is open, and nobody stopped them, and it's like we are hearing like it was pre-planned.
Yeah, it was a pre-planned. Because then they were about to stop their protest, but during that time the shooting started. Then all of the sudden, 19 people died. Within a minute, they wanted to establish Nepal as a Hindu kingdom, bring king back to the throne. There are Hindu radicals who are for the king and doing, this kind of protest for the king. Very difficult time.
These are just some of the early rumors around the protest, that certain Gen Z protesters were targeted for killing and not randomly killed by police or military. At the time of recording, it is still completely unclear whether this is the case or not. As the protests raged, prisons across the country were set ablaze, releasing thousands of inmates into the streets. More than 13,000 criminals, including over 5,000 for Kathmandu alone, escaped into the chaos. Shalva describes a country with neighborhoods on fire, windows shattered, cars destroyed, and families unsure if it was safe even to go to the market. What began as a political uprising has now spiraled into widespread unrest.
And also the people with the bad motives, they also took the advantage, and the criminals.
They burned all the big politicians' houses, and they took the goods. They stole the goods from there, and most of the prisons in the country has been burned. Prison is burned, and these prisoners, they were released.
All the criminals are...
And now they are spread all over the country, and they are not back to the prison, and anytime anything happens.
And robbing,
very risky time.
Robbing in the societies.
Even if you want to go to the market, you need to be very careful whether those people will come with a gun and hit you. They are all criminals. They run away. 13,500 criminals run away. 13,500. More than, 5,000 criminals from Kathmandu itself run away. From Kathmandu itself. I think they might go to the India. There is no other way because they have no passport. It's a very difficult time.
We never imagined, nobody imagined.
Normal neighborhood, their houses are burned, the smokes are coming into houses. People are, breaking their windows, pelting stones to their houses, breaking their cars parked in the yard. So many problems.
Yet even in the midst of this turmoil, Shalva shares a quiet hope. The overthrown prime minister was not popular, so although many in the country are overwhelmed by the protest and the violence that followed, they are still tentatively hopeful for a new government. Shalva prays that Nepal's leaders will turn away from corruption and self-interest, choosing instead to serve the good of the people. Only when those in power change their ways, he says, can the nation begin to find peace again.
If the political parties are changing their strategy, really starting to work for the country's favor, stopping the corruption, these bureaucrats also, they were so much corrupted. If they transform their life, then we can understand peace.
Next, Jandi explains that the newly appointed prime minister has called for national elections and the skepticism around that. For several days after the violence, the country was effectively leaderless. There was no functioning government, no police presence, and no clear direction. Now officials have resumed their duties, but they do not know what has changed from the old government. In the midst of this instability, hundreds of thousands of people are fleeing Nepal to find safety elsewhere. They describe the destruction left behind, with massive shopping centers burned to the ground, some people trapped inside as the flames consumed the structures. The loss is enormous, and the nation's path forward remains painfully uncertain.
This Prime Minister announced the date for the election. So let us see. But people are saying like there will not be election, or like the same political parties will influence. So many things are there. So it's really uncertain, During that first week, last week, it was like for 4 or 5 days, no government, no police, nothing, That was the time. And now everybody started their duties, but still, we have not seen anything tense. So we are just praying. 400,000 people left the country this week. That's what we are hearing. One mall is like very popular on supermarket throughout the country, and all those that must.
It is almost like Walmart, and bigger than Walmart. They have a 5-story building, very big building, 5-story, all goods they sell. So the 29 that kind of stores have been burned, totally burned. All buildings have been gone to the ashes.
And even some people were burnt inside.
When asked if their own children, who are all young adults, were affected, Shalva and Jandi's relief is mixed with grief. Their own family is safe, but the violence has struck heartbreakingly close to home. One of their neighbor's friends narrowly survived when a bullet grazed his chin. Another boy from their neighborhood, just 17 years old, was killed on his way home from a school exam. Stories like this are everywhere, they say, and each one deepens the sense of loss across Nepal. For now, their family and ministry partners in rural villages remain safer, but those living in the cities continue to face great danger.
One of our friends, the bullet was passed by his chin.
Chin means just under the ear.
Just under the ear. One young boy was studying in high school. The first person killed was just finished his school exam and walking. He was
Walking to home,
walking
on the road.
And he is from our neighborhood. That's what we heard. Yesterday, I met my school friend and she told that they are her neighbor, very young boy, 17-year-old.
Things are normally going with us and also our missionaries. So they are in the villages, they are safe. Those who are in the villages, they are safe. But those who are staying in city, it is very risky for them.
You can read the messages we received from Shalva and Jandi sent in real time throughout the unrest on our blog. Their words offer a powerful glimpse into both the pain and resilience of the Nepali people in this challenging time. In the middle of these hardships, incredible ministry continues to happen across Nepal. Local pastors and leaders supported through Harvest Bridge are offering medical care through village clinics. Churches are forming savings groups that empower families to rebuild. Ministry leaders are responding to natural disasters with compassion and faith. In every act of service, they are sharing the hope of the gospel, a hope that endures, even in the most uncertain times. All of this ministry happens through the power of God and your continued support. If you want to make a donation to the ministry happening in Nepal or learn more about these programs, we encourage you to visit our website, harvestbridge.org. Thank you for listening to the Harvest Bridge podcast. Follow us on social media or subscribe to our email list to hear more stories like these as the leaders of Harvest Bridge seek to do much with little.